Hello, and welcome to the Talking Apron podcast, where we empower you to take charge of your health through the power of cooking. Join us each week as we dive into the world of nutritious eating and exploring how to make simple, healthy meals that nourish your body and keep you on track with your health goals. We'll share some nutrition facts, cooking tips, and more. And this will help you feel more confident in the kitchen and excited about preparing your own foods. So whether you're a novice cook or a seasoned pro, the Talking Apron is your guide to a healthier, happier you. So today we're diving into a springtime favorite, and it is asparagus, which is a nutritional powerhouse that is more than just a side dish. And in this episode, we're going to be covering the nutritional benefits of asparagus, the best ways to buy and store, and then how some simple cooking methods can maximize the flavor and the health benefits. And then we'll add in a few recipes or ways in which you can incorporate it into your meals. So go ahead and go grab your cuppa and we'll get started. But first, let's talk about what people don't want to talk about. Do you know what happens when we go to the bathroom after we've eaten asparagus? Yup. I'm talking about, does your urine smell after eating asparagus? I know, I'm talking about pee. And a podcast. Well, what's really fascinating is that not everybody has smelly urine. And there are two different reasons for that. They're biological reasons. One is metabolism, and then the other is genetics. So asparagus has asparagic acid, which is unique to the vegetable. And when our bodies digest it, you either have the ability to break it down into sulfur-containing compounds, which can either have a rotten cabbage smell, a garlicky or skunk odor, or more like cooked cabbage smell. Oh, great is that. And these compounds, once we have the ability to digest them, it exits through our body, these sulfur compounds, in our urine. And because they're pungent, we can smell it usually within 15 to 30 minutes of eating asparagus. Now, the second way is through genetics. And what I mean by that is your pee may smell, but you may not have the ability to smell it. That's weird. So, one, not everybody produces the odor, and two, not everybody can smell it. So even if someone produces that odor, they may not be able to detect it, and this is due to a genetic variation in our olfactory receptors. And that's how someone can be so sensitive to those sulfur smells. So, from an evolutionary standpoint, it's unclear why humans vary in both the production and the detection of that pungent smell. So, if your pee smells after eating asparagus, you metabolize it, it breaks into sulfur compounds, and you can detect it. And if it doesn't smell, you either don't break down the components into that sulfur forms, or you can't smell it due to genetic variations. Aren't you just so pleased that I gave you this information this morning, and now you can go to a cocktail party and share it as you eat into maybe those hors d'oeuvres with roasted asparagus on top of a cracker with a little bit of brie cheese? Yes, now you can discuss it. So that's a fascinating example of how our food metabolism and genetics interact. And so now when we go, is it just me or does my pee smell weird? You will know. All right, now it's time to get into the real reason for the podcast. And I'll start by sharing the nutritional benefits of asparagus. Low in carbohydrates, high in fiber. Check. 1 cup of cooked asparagus has about 5 grams of carbs. Really good. 3 grams of fiber. Excellent for our digestive health and blood sugar control. It is rich in antioxidants and is packed with vitamins A, C, and E. And it supports our gut health, again, through that fiber. But it also has that prebiotic fiber, inulin, which helps in our gut biome feed the good biome that we have. Now, it's also a natural diuretic, and that helps reduce bloating and excess fluid retention. It has folate, which is great for cell repair, energy, and brain health, which is especially important for those of us that are, helps us age well. So what do we do with asparagus? Well, the first thing is, how do you pick it? Like, when is it in season? Guess what? It's in season in the spring. And if we think of spring in the United States, we have a lot of different months. So I'll talk about spring here in Northern California. Now, spring is normally March to June in many different places. But here in Northern California, we start seeing local fresh asparagus usually at the end of February. And it is from the Sacramento Valley. You will see it in stores year-round because we do have international vendors. But that's when you'll see the best local. Now, I know in Massachusetts, Western Massachusetts, where I moved from, has some great farms, and usually you see it more towards the end of April when you'll see the fresh asparagus produced real locally. So you're going to look for those bright green top of the spears, and you want the tips to be tight. Now, thin versus thick. If you're going to be steaming, you want thin. If you're going to be roasting, the thick spears are better for your roasting. Now, most people, when they store them, they're going to trim the ends and put them in a glass of water in the fridge. If you buy a big batch and you're not going to be eating within a day or two. It's just like fresh flowers, and a recommended use is within 3 to 5 days. Now, the best ways to prepare asparagus, and I'm sure you've seen this, some people just go ahead and take a knife and they whack about 1/3 of it off the end. The best way is kind of do that snap method, where asparagus will snap after the woody ends, and it'll break naturally. And then you'll want to, I clean after I've snapped. Now, what about cooking? Well, there are a number of different ways you can cook asparagus. One is roasting, like I explained, and you're going to do it at about 425, really high. You'll drizzle some olive oil, salt and pepper, and then it'll go for about 12 to 15 minutes, and this will be nice and crispy and caramelized. Then you have steaming. Again, I said the smaller, thin ones are better for the steaming, and that's really 3 to 5 minutes. Don't go more than that. And they'll have a tender bite. You can eat them immediately or save and put them into a salad. Next is grilling, which is different than roasting. You're going to brush with oil, and then you'll stick them on a grill. You'll get those nice grill marks, and you'll get a smoky char, and that's about 5 minutes. Or you can saute them, which is high heat. It'll quickly cook, and maybe you're going to put some garlic, a little bit of shallot, some lemon, just for a simple side dish. So let's get into a little bit of like how we can use it. What kind of recipe would you use? Now, these are easy, low-carb recipes for those of you who worry about your carb content. Maybe you're on keto, maybe you're pre-diabetic or diabetic, or like me, a type 1 diabetic. Here's one. It's a lemon garlic roasted asparagus, and you're going to put the asparagus in a little olive oil with some minced garlic, some lemon zest, and again, you're going to roast at 425 for about 12 minutes. Then you can do an asparagus and egg scramble. First, you're going to saute the chopped asparagus with a little olive oil. Then you're going to add in the eggs that have already been whisked, and you're just going to let it set. And then for a nice distinct change, you can put on some feta cheese, and that'll give a little bit of extra flavor. How about a cold salad? You're going to steam the asparagus, cool it, stick it in the fridge, pull it out the next day. Maybe you have a ripe avocado. You'll take the avocado, you'll take the asparagus, you can add some slices of tomato, cherry tomatoes, maybe even a little bit of olives or olive oil, balsamic vinegar, toss, salt and pepper, and you've got a nice, refreshing salad. Terrific with the fats from the avocado and the low carb from the asparagus, just to keep you full and satiated with that nice side dish or even meal. Next is a simple asparagus soup. I love myself an asparagus soup. You're going to start by sauteing an onion, and if you like and enjoy garlic, you put the garlic in. You'll add in your chopped asparagus and then a little bit of broth after the onion has already started softening or becoming translucent. Add in the asparagus, add in some broth, and simmer for about 10 minutes. You're going to blend it until smooth. And then here comes the magic part. Are you going to be adding a splash of coconut milk, of cream, of almond milk, and it'll give it that nice bright green, visual appealing look. Now, some people go strictly with vegetable broth or with a chicken broth. Other people like to add that richness from the cream or the coconut milk. And don't forget to use your salt and pepper. As you can see, asparagus is really nutrient packed. It's low carb. It's an easy vegetable to add to your meals. And in this episode, what we covered, the nutritional benefits of asparagus, the best ways to buy it and to store it, simple cooking methods, and a few easy recipes of how you can add it to your meals. So here's your challenge for the week. Try one new asparagus recipe and see how you like it. Now, have you joined our new Facebook group, Health, Habits, and Hope? The link is in the bio to this podcast. Do add in a comment on how your favorite asparagus recipe worked. I'll post some recipes in the Facebook group as well. So don't forget to subscribe to the Talking Apron for more nutrition, information, and practical cooking, food prepping tips. Do you have a favorite way to cook asparagus that you love already? Well, share it with me. Thanks so much for joining us today on this episode of the Talking Apron.